Our releases are perhaps one of our best friends in not getting overwhelmed with our product build. Now, if you're anything like me, you might start with a very small, focused, modest idea for a product. Maybe you want to create an ebook, and you start this with the idea of, okay, I'm going to take my content, turn it into an ebook. And through the process of ideation, by seeing what other people are doing, by coming up with new feature ideas, suddenly the product that you have in mind can grow and get more and more ambitious and more exciting. And we definitely don't want to curb that. We don't want to limit ourselves by saying, okay, that's impossible. Don't even write it down. Don't even think about it. You're never going to create a micro SaaS based on this SEO kit. Maybe you are. Instead, what we want to do is make it manageable. And the best place to do that is not on this roadmap, which we really do want to keep quite high level and just kind of get ourselves thinking, is this going to take a month? Is it going to take 6 months? Can we do it in 2 weeks? Our releases are going to instead help us focus on the different versions of this product, which are realistic, and how we should kind of sequence those builds. So let's get into this table, because I think this table can be quite helpful for planning your release list. So what we have are 6 different versions. You do not need to fill out all of them, but at the very least, we want to get to this green bar, which is our MVP. Now, you may have heard of MVP, minimum viable product, which for the purposes of this particular case is going to be something that helps us hit our break-even cost. So we're trying to build a digital product in part because we want to have an asset that we own and that we can sell. And so you might be a content creator, you might have some traffic coming, and you just want to have a kind of concrete, well-planned asset that you have built and that you're proud of, which you can charge for and start to kind of turn your efforts into a real business. And so part of that means being profitable. Part of that means breaking even on our costs. We're not building some massive growth social media startup where you get 1 billion users and then you think about monetizing. We're just trying to be modest, profitable, and have a digital product that sells. So I think that our MVP for this particular use case might just be something that actually sells. People do want it, and that we break even on our costs. Before we get to that, there may be a couple of versions that we put out there. So our version 0, the way that this table has been constructed, I've just tried to ask the key question for each stage or each release. At the very beginning, we're just asking, what does this even need to be able to function? So not viable as a product, as a business, but just if I want to build an SEO master kit course for a specific target of users, maybe barbers, let's say barbers. It needs to be able to do, it needs to have some minimum level of value proposition that's offered. So I have actually filled out this table for this digital product builder, which is a little bit meta, but hopefully that's the most kind of authentic example case that I can give, which is how I actually might think about the different versions of this very product. And so at the very, very last version, if everything goes well, if the prototype looks like it's working, if there's a beta test and the users are interested enough and they get something out of it, if we hit the MVP and it is viable and I break even on the cost that it takes to build this, then there might be stages above that where I say, okay, maybe let's take this to another level. This product is working. It is delivering value to the people that I'm interested in serving. So why not take it to another level? What would the next version look like? And the next, until eventually maybe this is a product leader that you're building. So this type of leader kind of far out vision could be 5 or 10 years. It could be maybe this is the beginning of a company that you want to start in the future. But what we want to start with the first release is, what does it need to be able to do to function? The value proposition for that release, the features included in that list. So that should map well with the essential priority on your features list, the action that you need to take in order to test this release, and then the proof that will come from running that action. So for a prototype, it needs to be able to actually help people plan and build a digital product for this builder. The features are all of the kind of basic workspaces. All of the micro lessons should be written. What I need to do is give it out to some personal contacts, let them kind of work through it. And the test of is this version ready to move on to the next version, is can everyone kind of navigate it, understand it, and get an idea of how they could plan a digital product. Whatever your particular product happens to be, I would encourage you to use this table to think through what are some different versions, and if you want to put a date to those versions, you can do so in this released list. Maybe the first build can be a week, the second might be a couple of weeks later, and the MVP, the total time, might take over a month or so. That release list will also show up on your timeline in the roadmap if you wanted to make use of that. So when I look at this release list, it's a little less overwhelming. I'm just trying to get to version 1 by a particular date, and version 1 doesn't need to include all of my grand, ambitious versions of the product. So hopefully that's useful. Make use of the table if it is, and try to break up your product launch into some more manageable steps.